Let's call this meeting to order. Randy Chitwood, John Ketcher, Steve Smith in attendance. First business is seal bid opening for mowing of right-of-way. Right-of-way, we just got one.
Good, that's all you need. That's the new rule. My time is one a day.
I get this thing all the way through there. Okay. Bid for mowing of the right-of-ways within the city limits of Pryor, July 2022 through August 2022, September, well, actually, July 22, August, September 22, then April, May, and June of 23. Bids of $28,000 from Dwayne Falk. Do I hear a motion to accept this bid?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Well, we opened this, so discussion. Okay, so number 3 is discuss possible recommend action, council action regarding awarding of the bid for mowing of the right-of-ways. So that's our action item there. So we have a first, we have a,
To the motion.
so this is on line 3. That's what we're voting for. Call for vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Ketcher.
Yes.
Congratulations, you're in for another year.
Thank you. And skip some this time because it's so wet.
It'll be that much taller.
Yeah, it will. The ruts, if you make ruts, it's not like cutting your finger. It don't get well, it just gets deeper. Next time.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Dwayne.
Good to see you.
I will do it.
Okay, so, number 4, discuss possible approval of the minutes of April 26, 2022, regular meeting. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for vote.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. No petitions from the audience, I assume, unless the mayor wants to make a speech. Buddy, you're up.
Well, like I said earlier, this rain has really got us behind on a lot of things. We did get another section of sidewalk poured over there off of, behind Pete's there off of Elliott and, I believe that'd be First. But then, like I said, with all the rain, was able to run the sweeper here the other day for a couple of days. We got downtown, then we started over on the south side of town, then it started raining. And, then it quit, and then we was able to run it over, partially over on north side of town. And, it just started raining. We had a report, we got a beaver dam out off Old Airport Road out there on the Giles property, but we haven't been able to get to that because of the rain. It's just wet everywhere. Of course, like I said, we went over on 3rd Street here the other day. We was gonna try to do some milling, but there were so many vehicles that's parked in that side of the street that there wasn't any way that we could, it'd just be a hit and miss going down through there. So like I said, well, since we've got it on for this next year, you know, if there's any calls or questions, you know, it's on the list. We're gonna mill that back down, you know, down through there and get the gutter line back to where it should be. And then that should solve most of the problems. They're probably gonna find out that probably some of their driveways may have, fell in just a little bit. So, I mean, but then that'll be up to them to replace those. But, we'll get that gutter line back down to where it's supposed to be, and then that should solve our problem for us, the water drainage then. Went back behind, over off East Manor. Again, like I said, I took some pictures and stuff here the other day. And the rock back here, I think, is piled a little bit high. We were gonna try to get back here with our little excavator and try to knock some of that rock down in the ground. I really don't wanna take a whole lot of rock out of it. But again, it's so muddy back there that on anything that we have, I think we're gonna wind up having to call Wrecker somehow to get us pulled out. So we haven't just been taking the chances. What else is there? We had a load of CRS2 oil with some that chip rock. We went around here the other day, and we used a whole tank of that on a lot of our bad spots. It holds better in smaller holes, or it's not quite as deep when we put that other type of patch in. We used that, and we fixed quite a bit. I mean, Dog Pound Road is our worst part out through there, because like I said, it's just an old chip road anyway. And when you get rain like this and with the vehicles and stuff, it just doesn't withstand the traffic and stuff. So one of these days, we're gonna have to do something with that, to come down doing, an overlay or something on it, just to get it where it's gonna be drivable. Shop's real clean, break room's real clean. We've, like I said, been working, cleaning our equipment, wiping everything down. I mean, we've been staying busy. If there's any signs and stuff, that we can do, but, other than that, like I said, we're just, anything when the rain quits and we get a dry day, we try to get out and do something, even with just running the sweeper. Because you can get too much water in the gutter with it, and then you're basically shooting yourself in the foot, because all it's doing is sucking water, then it fills up so fast that, you're dumping every 30 minutes by filling it up, so. But other than that,
Parts for your skid steers all here.
yes, we got both skid steers. We got tracks on them. Well, it was a good thing we took that one over there, because we had two, what do you call them, yeah, the sprockets, the little wheels on the bottom of them. I can't remember.
Your rollers, your guide.
Yeah, rollers down through there. We had two bad on one and one bad on the other one, and those things lock up, and then that's when you kind of have a little bit of trouble. So we did get everything fixed, and those are the two, probably the most used pieces of equipment that we have. I mean, we used to use them a bunch. And other than that, we've got some things, with some water problems, but like I said, we can't deal with those until we get some dry weather. So.
Okay, I'm going to include line item number 9 in this discussion here. So if you guys got any questions about, you want to bring up to Steve or Buddy about East Manor, they are working on it, so.
Yeah, it's
There's
just,
something going to happen, because I've got complaints from this guy ever since they got done, that it just didn't seem right to him, so I'd like to see it get straightened out.
well, like I said, I'm not sure exactly, the problem. I know the rock, like I said, it's built up a little bit higher where the drop in back here where the water goes into. But again, when you get rain like this, I know he was talking about, he had, just as much water coming out of that one pipe. Well, when you get rain like this, water's gonna go to the easiest path. I mean, that's just, so, and like I said, and the land back there is a little bit, lower than where the rock. So I mean, it's gonna slowly trickle on out through there, but, it's just, when it dries up, we can go back and shoot grade to see how low the ground is. But like I say, you walk back there, we tried to walk back there, and I mean, you're sinking that far. So I didn't want to get my boots muddy. I had to take them home and clean them, so it was just.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep you some muck boots in your truck.
Yeah, I know, I got them, they're inside there. The only thing, I usually use them for pouring concrete, but I guess I need to do that. But other than that, if y'all got any questions, complaints, or?
Well, you gave me an idea when you talked about the sweeper truck sucking in water and then have to go dump it. What do you think about getting one of them, like the septic tank trucks? Something
Vector?
like that. We hit our troubled spots around town, suck it up, and then go dump it in the creek.
You can.
Well, like we can dig a bigger hole and throw some rock in it and cover it up with so all that water go down there, but eventually it's gonna build up and come out. I mean, that.
Well, what I'm saying is, like our trouble spots around
Yeah.
town, where it just not wanting to go anywhere, we go suck that sucker up, and go send it somewhere we know it will drain out somewhere. You know what I mean?
Send it in the river.
Just trying to think outside the box.
Yeah, well, we can discuss that.
Okay, we're done.
All right.
Thank you, buddy. Number 7, discussion and possible action regarding a recommendation to city council from street committee in contracting Dunham Asphalt Supply Incorporated as the in the best interest of the city with an estimated cost of $25,170.95 for street-based repair and asphalt overlay between Southeast Sixth Street and Southeast Eighth Street on South Van Street. The work would pay from the street asphalt overlay account number 14-145-5410. The contractor is already in town and can continue working for a similar cost as the rest of the work in Pryor Creek. The urgency is regarding the deterioration base, which is causing the pavement to fall in. Hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman. Buddy Glenn gave me a call and said, we got a real problem here. This was last week. And so we got a real problem here. I think we have an opportunity to maybe to be able to fix it because this contractor is still here in town. So I wasn't aware that we could do a change order, but I did get on the horn with Steve Powell and tried to figure out how we could get a discussion or get an action item before street committee tonight so that we could go repair that street while that contractor was still in town. And so that the base repair could go ahead and happen before it got too bad. So that's the reason for the item there. And perhaps Mr. Powell could maybe shed a little more light on it for us as we consider that motion.
Go over these sections on this little,
You have to, they all got one.
yeah, we all got one.
2 of these 5 spots were previously identified to be milled and overlaid. And it was because their contractor was out there doing the mill and overlay that the problem with the base, or no base in this case, was found. They milled off the first spot that you see there, furthest one to the right, and just the weight of the milling machine itself after the milling was done was pumping and just moving out of the way. There was no base at all. So we basically had a base failure at that point, and it was determined in the field at that time that there really wasn't any reason to do the mill and overlay on the other spot or at that point, because what we were seeing was a completely different thing than just a 2-inch mill and 2-inch overlay on the top. Buddy was called out to look at the site, and they both determined that, yes, this is a base failure issue and not what was included in the original contract or in the contract change order that included this work. And at the same time, they went and looked at the other spots and determined these other locations that were experiencing the exact same thing. So what we were finding is that we only had 2 inches of asphalt at that location to start with. So they milled off 2 inches of asphalt and there wasn't any left, and there was no base under it. They observed that there were 5 spots there along that route that had the same problems, observing the same problem. So we contacted the contractor and found out from him exactly what he determined was the problem with the base and how it could be fixed. We have a standard detail for this contractor who had used it in other locations in town previously, full depth patch as we called it, and so he's using that detail for this project or for this change order. I agreed with the field assessment that was done in Dalton at our office. Dalton Powell went out and took a look at it also afterwards, and he agreed that this needed to be done. In fact, came back and we assessed that this needed to be done and that we needed to get this before this committee so we could get it done while he's still in town. He's almost done with the change order that we had implemented back in February, and we wanted to get this started before he left town, and we'd have to pay somebody else's mobilization to get back in here. So I guess yesterday we went out and ascertained exactly what the square footage was on the project and then got with the contractor about the dollar value that would go with it so we could prepare the change order. I agreed with the assessment. I went out this afternoon and looked at the site as well as went up north. But I went and looked at this site specifically so I could be aware of what we were seeing. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer it. We're recommending that we produce this change order and allow this contractor to make these full depth patches on this roadway. Just a little bit of history. Van Street was the subject of a mill and overlay project about 8 years ago in 2014. At that time, we milled off 2 inches of asphalt everywhere except in this area that you see right here, and there were some patches done in other locations between 6th Street and, actually 6th Street and 7th Street. There was mill and overlay done from just south of Park up the hill where it's concrete there as it changes back to asphalt. And this section was not milled and over at that time. It was just had some spot repairs done. So we're experiencing the same thing now that we saw back at that time, just in different locations. And it all has to do with there not being a base under these roadways. I don't know what was put in at the time that Van Street was built, but what we're seeing now is the native material that's under these roads is basically just clay. And it shrinks and swells and causes problems with the asphalt. And when it's swelled up because of the rains, it has no bearing pressure allowable bearing pressure to it. So heavy trucks, it goes over and just breaks them up like an eggshell. Hopefully with these patches that we've done here and the other patches that are still holding up in this immediate area, by the way, we will have solved the vast majority of this stretch. The other pieces of Van that were milled and overlaid back in 2014 still are operating well. We have had some patches, we've had some potholes, things like that, but we're not seeing the base failures that we've seen before. And I attribute that to the fact that we used a fabric underlayment on that portion of the project. This one did not have any because these were just spot repairs. That's all I have at this time.
How long do you think this patchwork will last?
Well, the other patches in this same immediate area were done in 2014, and they're still holding
Still
up.
holding strong?
So I'd say if we get 7 to 8 years out of it, we've done as good as we could do if we just did a complete replacement of the pavement. I know as we go further south on Van Street, south of 9th Street, in fact, we're looking at that area down the road as a road that's heavily traveled. There's a lot of interurban travel on that roadway, and the bar ditches that are there are very flat, so we get standing water, which soaks the base underneath that road. And so we've had a lot of edge failures in that roadway where the edges are beginning to sink under heavy traffic. I would like to see that roadway improve to the point, at some point, where we've actually got curb and gutter and a storm sewer system in there, much like we had to do on Elliott Street years ago. Elliott Street is, South Elliott is another street that still has bar ditches, and that water stands in those ditches and soaks and saturates that base, and we're running into that as we go south. That's also a heavy travel road.
And bring up that point about Elliott real quick. We talked about a little while back when we was talking about Elliott, you told me about that perforated concrete that's in channels.
Yes.
Could you?
I haven't visited with it, but there's a concrete out there that allows water to migrate through it. You can literally pour water on this concrete and it won't run off. It literally soaks right through the concrete and into a gravel base underneath it, like a subterranean French drain system. It's called pervious concrete is the generic term for it. There's a lot of vendor names for the concrete, but it's high strength. It's still 44,000 pound concrete, believe it or not. And you can literally just back a concrete truck up to it, pour water full of the chute into one spot, and it just literally soaks through the concrete. So it has its places for use in roadway situation where we have low spots. We've got a way to get the water away. I mean, it doesn't help if you get the water underneath the concrete and it's in the base and it's stuck there, it can't get anywhere. So if we can get the water away, that's a potential to solve some of these low spot problems that we've got in some of our areas. If we can get that pipe, or it doesn't even have to be a large diameter pipe, it can be a small diameter pipe out of the gravel itself into a collection system or into a bar ditch that's not running alongside the road. And in doing that, we can get the water away from the road, get it away from the base, which is the biggest thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is this, the rest of this street 4 inches?
Well, from 6th Street back to Park, south of Park, from 6th Street back to South Park, it's in excess of 4 inches. We took off 2 inches, we put 2 inches back
Right.
several years ago. There was at least 2 inches left at that point in time, because we didn't have any other base failures.
This is the only section of
In
it.
this section, what we're going back with will be 5 inches of asphalt. We'll dig it out, what's there now, we'll take out the base, we'll put in a good base, it's compacted, a granular base, and then we'll come back up with 5 inches of asphalt. So in some ways, these sections that we're patching will be better than the rest of the asphalt, because it has a good base under it primarily. That's from my standpoint. The wearing surface in the asphalt is just that. It's really especially if it's not going to be concrete. The asphalt itself is just a covering, because the base is doing most of the work. If you don't have a base, it doesn't matter how thick that asphalt is,
Right.
unless it gets up around a foot or so, and then it's got some actual structural capabilities.
But it's less likely to fall apart if it's 4 inches versus the 2 inches.
I would agree with that if you added the phrase that if we had a good base under it.
Right.
You take a 4-inch asphalt like this that's subject to freeze and thaw, once it's broken up, once it's cracked from underneath and whatever, it's just a matter of time till the water gets in there and penetrates it and destroys it. It's the same way if it was 2 inches. If it were concrete is a load-carrying roadway itself. You can span concrete over a void, and if it's good concrete, you don't need
there's
the
no
base to
concrete
carry
in
it.
this
But asphalt is very dependent upon the.
There's no concrete in this street except for the hill.
As
coming
far
up.
as I know, that's correct. No,
Okay.
curb and gutter.
So my other question is, how long's the contractor going to be in town, Mr. Mayor? That's kind of directed towards you. Because our next council meeting's 2 weeks away. So if we approve this tonight, are we approving this for them to go ahead and start, or are we approving this to send it on to council?
This action tonight would have to go on to council. If we had to call a special council meeting to get it done, we potentially could do it.
But
I do know
we're assuming,
that this contractor has on Monday, Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend, he has a big job starting in Wagner County. I'm not saying he's leaving this job behind, but I'm saying he's gonna be stretched. So if,
that's my question. Do we need to go, we're not going to be able to go ahead and tell them to start on this week or next week until after council meeting, right?
That would be true. So, we would need to determine, we need to call a special council meeting to approve the action.
Now, I
So
don't,
we
I
just
don't
need
have
to
an
know-
answer for you that I can't guarantee you that he won't be done with the work that he's already contracted for here before the 2 weeks is up.
Right, that's my issue there is, I mean, we may go ahead and send this on and then possibility of him being gone anyway.
We should advise him of the action and,
Yeah, see if they
try
can
to get some
accommodate us.
determination from him how long he's gonna be here.
I can do that, I can certainly do that. He has another problem that he has not resolved, and you all will be able to see this if you go down to Southeast First and Row. He did some work down there that has still got some issues at the northwest corner. And he's aware of it, his foreman is aware of it. I told him that if we needed to meet on site and try to figure out, this is his original contract.
Right, right. I just want to make it all clear that, we're not going to step outside our bounds as this committee
No.
and approving something that should be approved by the full council, so.
You know, if we got 3
So-
days of rain this week, we got.
Yeah, I mean,
3 days of rain next
he
week.
might be stuck here for a while yet, just because of the rain, so.
That's true.
Just so we're all aware of it, that we're all on the same page here, and we can get this taken care
Well, I
of.
say stay tuned, if we gotta bring a special council meeting in the best interest of the citizens to get this done, that's just what we do.
I'll call him first thing in the morning and get an assessment from him of his job form as to whether, how much longer they think they'll be with and without this work.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Well, that first in row, south first in row, does that involve making that right-hand turn and then?
Yeah, that's.
I found it
exactly
today.
right. You are 100% correct.
I thought, I hope I didn't turn my wife's car.
Well, they patched it, and they put the flume across, and they patched it, and the patch is just gone.
Gone.
So now we've got this big hole in it by the concrete flume. He's worried. I don't know if it's the rains or bad material, what, do you know about it? Did you visit about it?
Well, I think it's still holding water, which I don't know, I talked with a little bit of guys down there. And I mean, even bringing me, I can't tell them how to do it, but when you pour concrete to the same height as the asphalt, that you're not gaining anything. I don't know where they were trying to push the water to back west, but I told them, I said, all this water needs to go east. And I don't know they're thinking of doing it, but, yeah, I think it's just, when they put the patch in there, the water's still standing where it's at, and that's like with our patch, you got a big standing water, you get enough vehicles on it, I mean, eventually it's just gonna heat out.
That's exactly what happened, after the water stood there, and whatever patch they put in alongside the concrete is just gone.
Yeah.
It just didn't hold it, wasn't there long enough. So they're gonna have to redo it. At this point, I'm not sure whether they'll have to take some asphalt back and turn it down. There is fall from the west to the east in the concrete chute, but it's not a lot. There's maybe a tenth of fall from one side to the other. They took the crown out, but the northwest corner is just holding water. It did hold water, it holds water now, so we're gonna have to get rid of it. That's what we were there for, was to solve that problem, and we haven't solved it.
Would it be in the citizens' best interest, Steve, if we go ahead and call a special council meeting? That way the contractor would be able to have flexibility to get it done. He's done us a good job, and I feel like that we should accommodate him as we.
I have no problem with that. I do have a Thursday night commitment though, as far as that goes. But yeah, I think we should, it takes 48 hours, to call a special meeting
The soonest that we could have, call a special meeting, would either be this Friday, it would either be this Friday, or it would be on 31st.
I can do either one. I'll be here. So,
So as far as we're gonna go right now, our motion and recommendation is send this on to the council. There a motion on that?
Motion.
I thought I already made the motion.
Okay.
Already.
Yeah, on
Already.
the original motion, but the modified motion is, let's go ahead and send this on to, city council, regular city council meeting. Call for vote.
Ketcher,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood.
Yes.
Okay, so number 8, discuss possible recommend action, council action regarding change order number 3 in the amount of this $25,170.95. Steve Powell will provide the actual change order. I'll hear a motion to go ahead with this.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? So all this is approving him to do the change order, and then we'll approve the whole thing on the special or next council meeting. Any discussion? Any more discussion? Call for vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Chitwood,
Yes.
Ketcher.
Yes.
No unforeseen business? John?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You didn't want to go home, did you?
I was kind of eyeing to see if John was like,
Call for vote.
Chitwood,
yes.
Pryor.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate